Pack your bags. We're off to Europe and the amazing city of Prague. And then it's on to Sonoma in the heart of California wine country. And finally, we'll join some senior faring adventurers on Semester at Sea, all coming up today on Time to Travel.
At a time when millions of baby boomers are redefining the meaning of retirement, Ruth Nelson is paving the way.
I've done ballooning and parasailing. I don't like to miss too many things.
And she hasn't missed any opportunities on this voyage. She's braved the altitudes of Machu Picchu, fed monkeys in the Amazon, ziplined through the Costa Rican rainforest, and today challenged a mountain to a duel of wills.
I can hardly wait to get started on this trip.
When Ruth woke up this morning, she thought she was going on a lazy hike to La Campana National Forest, just northwest of Santiago, Chile.
I failed to read the fine print. I have not walked 10 miles, even in my early years.
And not just 10 miles, but 10 miles of mountain terrain.
I was amazed because some of my friends didn't even go because they were worried about the hike.
At 82 years of age, Ruth is among the oldest Semester at Sea passengers exploring Chile and other Latin American destinations. But she is the youngest 82-year-old you will ever meet.
One of my bosses said to me, "The problem with you is that you don't know you're old."
I definitely don't think of Ruth as old. I would never use that term to describe her, because old to me is such a state of mind that she just doesn't have.
For a woman with a replacement hip and knee, she is fearless and determined in her quest to see the waterfall at the top.
I did have a hip replacement and a knee replacement. Because of those two things, I think I'm a bit stronger than I might have been. Oh!
And that strength will be necessary as the hiking gets more difficult and the day wears on.
I don't know why I thought climbing a mountain would be a flat walk, but it turned out to be a big surprise. Periodically, we would stop because I was not able to breathe and would be asked if I'd like to go back. Okay.
You ready?
Yeah.
Okay.
And they'd say, "Oh, it's another few kilometers." And so I thought, well, I can make another few kilometers. So I kept on.
Even a person with Ruth's determination experiences moments of doubt when faced with a challenge like this.
I may not make it all the way to the falls, but we'll see. We'll see how it goes. Yes.
After 3 hours, and with a little help from the guide and some friends, Ruth would see the waterfall.
Oh, can you believe? This is awesome. Absolutely awesome. And I threw up my hands and tried it. It was just a lot of fun. Once again, I've done something that no one else thinks I can do.
Ruth has definitely changed my perception of aging.
People came over and congratulated me, and that was kind of nice.
For her to be able to do that is amazing.
I was delighted that I survived, and I'd do it again. I'd do it again in a minute. Now all we have to do is get down. To stop learning is to stop living.
This is a common sentiment among the lifelong learners aboard the Semester at Sea ship. In fact, it's the reason they chose 65 days at sea, voyaging through Latin America over a traditional cruise.
What we're trying to do on this voyage at Semester at Sea is engage people intellectually and academically and to connect to the world around them.
Whether that engagement takes place in one of the 9 classrooms aboard the ship or hiking through the rainforest of Costa Rica doesn't matter to these seniors. It's all part of the Semester at Sea experience, and it's all part of being a true lifelong learner.
The adult learners have lifelong experiences. They've lived, they've traveled, they've been places, they've thought about things.
Though not a requirement, many choose to immerse themselves in the academics of the University of Virginia's rigorous curriculum while at sea.
The lifelong learners get to do everything that the students do. Many of the adult passengers, they go to class every day, all day, and they love being with the students.
They are just as young as us at heart, and I think even younger than some of us on board. They're so enthralled with life, they just want to do everything.
And they do everything: ziplining, hiking, touring the Amazon. You name it, and the lifelong learners are there. Semester at Sea also schedules import trips. These lend themselves more to exercising the mind, such as a visit to the bubbling clay pots of Nicaragua, or a day at the home of Chile's poet laureate Pablo Neruda.
I never thought at this day and age I would ever be in the hacienda of Pablo Neruda. I think he's one of the greatest poets, and I read him when I was a kid, and it's such a thrill to be here.
On the way down, we read Pablo Neruda's poetry in Spanish and in English. So this wonderful fusion of what we were learning in class with what we were actually seeing. And this has gone on and on, over and over again.
Their curiosity and life experience bring an added dimension to the ship's classrooms, where they soak up lectures while challenging the younger students' preconceptions.
How many genes did you see in that church? Us.
Well, there have been some lively debates between the 18, 19-year-old perspective and the 50, 60, 70, 80-year perspective. And that mix, we find, is very exciting.
Whether it's things you disagree about, or things that you want to get your 2 cents in, or things that you've always wanted to know about that, and here's the chance.
There's a nice synergy that goes on. Our experience helps sometimes, and their youth helps other times.
Living and working side by side with the college students aboard the ship, lifelong learners are always surprised to discover how much this interaction adds to their journey.
It's a mosaic of interests and colors and knowledge and artistic sentiments and political views, and this all comes together to form a special picture.
A picture that will remain with these lifelong learners forever.
My name is Max, and I'm a faculty member on this voyage.
Max Brandt is a connoisseur of the world's music. For nearly 30 years, this passion has taken him around the world as a music instructor for Semester at Sea. This voyage is particularly meaningful to Max because he will be exploring the rich cultural music of Latin America.
The thing that excites the ethnomusicologists is the great diversity of music.
And a desire to know where that music comes from, what role it plays culturally, and who's keeping the tradition alive.
I started out with an interest in ethnomusicology in Africa because I was a Peace Corps volunteer in Africa. But then as a student at UCLA, I met my wife of 38 plus years now, who is from Mexico, so I developed this other interest in Latin American music.
An interest Max has parlayed into a career of traveling the world while teaching music courses to the Semester at Sea students. This summer, he's teaching the very popular Music in Latin America Today course.
The difference between the course I'm teaching here and the one I would teach back on the home campus is that I'm focusing on the countries we're visiting.
This relationship between the itinerary and the classroom is essential to the Semester at Sea experience.
We found over the years if you really don't focus on the itinerary, the course is not nearly as interesting. So on the way to Peru, they don't want to really know anything about the music of Venezuela.
Max, as he has for the last 3 decades, loves to bring the real world to his students as often as possible. It's one of the great pleasures of his career to venture into foreign lands in search of a traditional instrument or even a musician to share with the students on board the ship. Sharing moments like this with his students is tremendously satisfying, but not nearly as gratifying as sharing the Semester at Sea experience with his family, especially because this is his last voyage with the program.
Well, it's wonderful to be sailing, especially to Latin America, with the entire family.
And he means the entire family.
There are 10 members of the family here for most of the time. Maria and myself, our 2 daughters, our 2 sons-in-law, and 4 grandchildren.
They have all gathered aboard the Semester at Sea ship to accompany Max on his last journey as a full-time employee of the Institute, but also to pass on the tradition of Semester at Sea to the next generation.
Elsa and Anna have sailed with Maria and me as preschoolers, elementary school students, middle school students, high school students, and they finally both sailed as college students on semester at sea.
Whether they are touring an ancient ruin, such as the pre-Incan city of Pachucamac, or eating a gourmet traditional Peruvian meal, Max and his family embrace the adventures and new experiences Semester at Sea offers. But for Max, there is nothing more wonderful than seeing those experiences through the eyes of his grandkids. Eyes that have already seen more of the world than most do in a lifetime.
I never thought that a couple or a gal from Kentucky would be able to go around the world. Never thought about it.
Betty Waldron and her husband Milt might not have had her daughter not gone around the world with the Semester at Sea program in the mid-'80s.
She said to me, "Dad, you got to do this." And I said, "I can't do that. I'm an orthopedic surgeon."
Milt's reservations about leaving his practice behind dissipated in 1990 when he was asked to serve as the ship's physician. He and Betty boarded the ship and proceeded to sail around the world.
About halfway around that voyage, Betty and I were out on the rail talking. And he said, "You know, if we got on this ship, went around the world, and never got off, it'd be the greatest experience of our life."
We have been to many places that in this day and time you cannot go. We were on the first ship to go into Cuba. We were on the first ship to go into Vietnam.
16 years later, and on their 11th voyage, Milt and Betty are centerpieces of Semester at Sea. Milt has served as the ship's physician on multiple voyages. Betty heads up the Lifelong Learner program.
When Betty and I first went, the lifelong learners weren't involved a lot. They could go to class, but socially they weren't included a lot. Betty saw this as a problem, and since she got involved, we've gotten the lifelong learners much more involved as part of the community.
So my job really is to keep them happy and, you know, to make sure I'm always available to them.
Except when they're in port. That's when this couple, in their mid-70s, gets to dispel all preconceptions about traveling and age.
The people that have the most fun traveling are older people, because they have a better perspective and appreciation of a lot of things. I mean, young people have a ball, but older people that travel get a great deal out of it.
And they both get something different out of traveling with Semester at Sea.
This fruit not edible.
Milt pursues his passion, searching for the roots of Western medicine in the Amazon rainforest.
That's good medicine for to kill the small parasite in the stomach.
The drug companies are very aware of the medications that come out of these areas. And there's a lot of research that goes into whether this tree is effective really for parasites. If it is, what component of this tree is effective, and then they'll synthesize that and make a drug out of it.
Betty, on the other hand, is in it to connect with the natural world around her.
The monkey on my neck was so warm. I could just rub against him, and it felt like I just had a warm scarf or something. They're so soft, I couldn't believe it. It was great.
Whatever the adventure, Betty and Milt continue to explore and discover with no abandon.
Semester at Sea is a part of us. It's in our minds all the time. We think about the ship. Each voyage is very different, and it never gets old for us to come back.
They truly are an inspiration to everyone.
I'll tell you something. There's nothing better than sunset over the upper Amazon. The sun's out. All's right in our world. It doesn't get any better than this, does it?
No.
Any better than this?